Hello, everybody, and welcome to another game changers experience live session. It's interesting because I guess depending on when you're listening to this, of course, it's an interesting time of the year, and I just wanted to jump on here and kind of like just kind of pour into your glass, right? Because it's kind of like that time of year where we're kind of going through reflections and we're looking at what we've accomplished through the year and stuff like that. But today's session is all about like, what are my 5 biggest takeaways from 2022? What are my 5 biggest lessons? I'm sure I'd love to hear more about you. But before we do anything, right? First of all, do me a favor, if you're listening to me, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay. Give us a like, share a PLC, like, share a comment on the comment section below. That'd be super awesome. I was going to say to you, yeah, and it's really interesting. We did a great session today in our inner circle mastermind group, and we just like literally, I love those guys. We love sharing some amazing stuff. It's just like seriously off the charts. So anyway, I wanted to jump on here and I wanted to share with you guys like what are my 5 biggest lessons in 22, and maybe it's something that you can kind of like relate to in a way. But it's also something to have in the back of your mind with regards to like moving into 23, right? So yeah, so let's jump into this because like I really kind of like been thinking about like, I mean, I've learned so much during 22. But my first biggest thing that comes to my mind, like my real biggest thing from my perspective, is really be adaptable, right? So, over the last couple of years, interesting how the world has changed. We're seeing the world changing consistently, but it doesn't matter what industry you're in, it doesn't matter what area of expertise that you are in, it doesn't matter what specialism that you're part of, right? The big thing is making sure that you are adapting to change. Really super important, because if you don't adapt with the times of change, then you'll fall behind. This is very simple as that. Okay. And that could be looking at things like what you offer in terms of like your core offerings. So it's looking at your, it could be looking at your programs, it could be looking at your core offerings, is it emulate based on what your clients want? So just remember, people are not buying products or services, they're buying what specifically you can do to help with their pain points. And that's really important, right? Because we're in the arena now, especially, as we've kind of moved into the transition of, flexible working and stuff, and working kind of more hybrid more than anything else. And I feel like, everyone here that's listening in, you've really got to learn to be able to be adaptable. Try to not be so, what's the word I was looking for? Try to not think of it, try to not kind of overcomplicate things. Do you know what I mean? Don't wait for the perfect time with the perfect opportunity. Nothing will ever be perfect for all you perfectionists out there. But also to focus and, focus on listening to, keeping your ears out, right? Listening to what your market wants. Okay. So there's a real big difference between needs and wants. All right. There's a belief system that you believe people need, but actually it's not what they need. It's about what they want. Okay. That's really important, really super important. So whatever you think about in terms of adaptability, look at your systems, look at your core offerings, look at the way that you message and communicate with your core audience as well. It's really, really important. So that was one of my big, like, for me, adaptability, super important. Like, one of the big things for me is that we've adapted the way that we've changed our mastermind, for example, and the way that people, the way our tribal members invest in our mastermind. We've changed to more of a subscription model, and it really works for us, right? Really works for a lot of our clients. And whereas before we didn't have that in place, so it took a little bit of time to really kind of like adapt to that. Does that make sense? And and I feel like even if you guys are kind of in a transitional phase right now, you just got to make sure that you're up to scratch with that. So that's the first thing. Secondly, one of my favorite lessons that I would have learned, especially because, we've just hit over 200 episodes. Again, depending on when you're listening to this, I think we're on like 204 or whatever it is. But one of the things that I love, especially about podcasting, is the opportunity to be able to connect with thought leaders and experts in their given fields. And for me, it's like, that's my way of learning. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you can never know enough information. You can never know enough teachings. It's like, I remember when we, university and the system, right? The system teaches us that, your parents may or may not have taught you this. Like, you go to school, get good grades, and get a good job or open your own business, right? And then, once you've qualified in whatever you're doing, that's the end, right? So that's the end. But it's not the end, right? It's a continuous sharpening of your axe, updating the tools that you have in your arsenal, and things like that, really. So for me, it's about, how are you leveling up? How are you learning and growing? For me, podcasting is a way to level up. I know that I've got to do more. I know that a lot of successful, whether it be millionaires or billionaires or even successful CEOs that have exited and sold their business or been acquired or whatever it might be, they tend to read lots of books. Like, I'm not much of a bookworm. I'm more a podcaster. So I like to listen to what people have to say. And you can take that content in different ways. You can take that through video or whatever it might be. But, continue to level up, continue to learn and grow. That's kind of one of the things that I really found, not a distraction, but it was healthy for me, especially like leveling up my mindset. That's like super important. That was, for me, that was like my second biggest takeaway from 22. Do me a favor, if you're listening to me live, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay, and do me a favor. I always love for you guys to do me a favor. Please do me a favor. Post, like, or comment on the comment section below. We're streaming through on YouTube and on LinkedIn as well. If you are listening to me on LinkedIn or YouTube, do hit the bell notification, because every time I do a live show, you can get a notification, and you just never know when I'm going to go live, right? Now, alternatively, I wanted to kind of share this with you, actually. We also have an amazing Telegram group, actually, that we're building up. It's just a great way to get some new ideas. And I'll use that Telegram group to drive new ideas, tell people about some of our fantastic events, some of our challenges that we've got coming on, whatever it might be. Like, really tune you in. So if you're interested in, and you're part of Telegram, even if you're not part of Telegram, join our Telegram group. You won't be disappointed. I can guarantee you. And it's just a great way to just quickly, especially if you're really busy. Do you know what I'm saying? You can just go to Telegram and say, oh, okay, what ideas are we? Okay, great, fantastic. And so I'll put some value bombs in there as well. So why don't you quickly share that with you guys? So I was going to say to you, yeah. So I was like, what? So my third lesson that I would take away from 22, especially, and then this is a really good thought pattern, and I don't know if this is something that you've thought about, but one of the things that we like to do, we love to do, is working with businesses in the professional services industry. And it just amazes me that we get so bogged down in the operational side of stuff. Do you know what I mean? And the whole kind of, like, we had an insurance broker that came on today, and he was really open and honest and said, like, about sort of in the third quarter, he found it very difficult to delegate out, and he found it really, really difficult. Gave a great metaphor, but has now decided, you know what, they're right. So I just wanted to kind of say that. But being part of a mastermind, I mean, we run the Game Changers in a Circle, right? So, it's a very much a private members club. It's based on, collaborative opportunities, being in the same place, in the same room as like-minded people, and finding that kind of like tribe that supports you, not just like giving you like tips and whatever it is, but is there to support you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically, because, we're all human beings at the end of the day, right? So, if you're not part of a mastermind, you don't have to. If you're interested in joining us, we'll put the links below, of course. But if you're not, then that's okay. Do me a favor, do some research, because it takes a little bit of time to, find a bit, where to find your tribe, and everyone has their own kind of what's I going to say? They have their own kind of appetite with regards to the type of mastermind that they want to be part of. So that's the third one. Number 4, collaborations. Now, for you guys that know me pretty well, I'm big into collaborations, whether it be through podcasting, whether it be through summits, events, challenges, or whatever it is. If you're not collaborating more, then you really need to look at how you can effectively double down. And I had a great session today with my good friend Sammy Blendell, and I've known Sammy for years, donkey years, right? And literally, she has built her 8-figure business based on collaborative partnerships. When the episode comes out on the podcast, of course, I would highly endorse you listening to that, because we were talking about, why collaboration beats competition, right? So that's a really good future point. But collaboration, thinking about what is it that you look for in terms of collaborative partnerships and things? I think it's just like a real diamond mine. And the last thing that I found to be useful for me, especially in 22 and stuff like that, and maybe again you can relate to this, is just to be your authentic you. And I'm big into that. Like, I've written articles on LinkedIn, for example, about authenticity, about showing vulnerability. And listen, like, for me, I don't care what other people think about me. I really don't give a shit. For me, I'm being me, right? I'm being for who I am. Like, people will magnetize towards me, gravitate towards me. And it's the same for you guys. Like, if you are, doing stuff just to please others, okay? Or you're doing stuff because, or you're not doing things because you're worried about what other people are going to think about you. I'm going to challenge that thought process all day long. Seriously, the best thing that you can do, especially to have a thriving business, it doesn't matter if you're running an 8-figure business or you're running a 6-figure business. The fundamentals don't change. Be you. Just be you. Like, be your authentic self. And yes, of course, your mindset and everything else, like, you've got to continue to work on that. Does that make sense? Because if you're not continuing to work on it, then again, you're going to fall behind. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, those are kind of like my 5, what I would call my 5 biggest lessons. So I'm going to quickly summarize that from my perspective. So the first one was, be adaptable, right? Be adaptable to your markets, be adaptable to the industry that you're in, the topics that you're doing. Adapt your core offerings, look at your core offerings, adapting, making sure that your message is on point, right? Because if you're not, then there's going to be this clouded, there's going to be this lack of clarity. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing, is be adaptable, okay? Super important. Don't worry about what's happening on the outside world. And what I mean by that, don't worry about what's happening. There's talk about recessions and all of that kind of outside influences. You need to cut those distractions, but do adapt to the times ahead. So that's the first thing. Secondly, level up, learning and growing. So what are you doing to learn and grow? What are you doing to upskill yourself, right? Whether it be through listening to podcasts or listening, reading articles, subscribing to more newsletters and things like that. So that's my second one. Third one is be part of a mastermind. I mentioned our Game Changers in a Circle, which is our private members club, built on collaborative opportunities. Look for a mastermind that is aligned to your values. Find a tribe that excites you. Find a tribe that is going to support you, right? It's going to help you. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I would highly endorse you guys to do. And, for me, accountability as being part of that is a huge advantage in moving forwards. So that's the third thing. Fourth thing, collaboration. So I mentioned collaborative partnerships. If you're not already doubling down on that, is to think about who would be the ideal collaborative partner for you? Why do you want a collaborative? What is the win-win? What is the win-win for you guys? Because those are some of the questions that are going to come up if you decide to pitch to a collaborative partner. They're going to ask you to be like, so why me? Why not somebody else? Right? Think about that, right? And the last one that I would highly endorse you guys to do is be your authentic self. Because if you're your authentic self, you're gonna effectively you're gonna magnetize, your ideal clients. They're going to show up when you want them to. There's a really good chemistry between you and your clients and your audience and stuff. But don't worry about what other people are saying about you or you think that people are saying about you. Okay. And I know it's hard sometimes, but you really got to get out of that frame of mind. But the question you have to ask yourself really is, am I being the best version of myself today? Okay. Am I being the best version of myself? Because if you answer that question, am I being the best version of myself? If the answer is yes, then you don't need to worry about everything else. If the answer is no, then I want you to ask yourself, like, how can I make improvements? Like, what are my marginal gains? What can I do to make it like that? How can I be my true self? How can I up my game? What do I need to do as part of that? So listen, I just wanted to go kind of jam on here, have some fun. Hope that you guys have enjoyed. Hope you guys been enjoying the podcast, of course. And if you have enjoyed today's episode, again, use the hashtag live, use the hashtag replay. If you're listening on the podcast, I'll pull the podcast notes as I always do below. And if you would love a free copy of my book, and I don't know why you would want a free copy of my book. If you're based in the UK, you can get a free paperback copy of my best-selling book, Play the Game. 18 different strategies that you can learn from. So for 18 different entrepreneurs, different industries that you can learn from going into 23 is going to give you a huge advantage. If you would like a free copy, all you have to do is leave a 5-star review on Apple. Okay, send me a screenshot, email it to me or my team, hello@adamstrong.net, and there'll be a paperback copy sent in the post. Now, if you're outside of the UK, we'll send you a digital copy. However, it will be absolutely amazing. So listen, that is my Christmas gift to you. In fact, I hope that you enjoy it. I love giving away stuff. So listen, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I love seeing you on here. I would love to hear more from you guys. I know that we have listeners in like 51 countries, so it'd be great to hear from you guys. And next year, honestly, holy crap, we've got some amazing guests lined up. Not just amazing guests, but we're going to be delving into some topics that I never talked about as well. So we're going to be talking about things like the blockchain. We're going to be talking about crypto. We're going to be talking about leadership on a much deeper level. We've got some really, really, really good guests. Not that we've never get back good guests before, but we're going to be really going in deep. So listen, hope that you enjoyed it. Please make sure that you subscribe, tell your friends, share this show, and I love you guys forever. Listen, have a great day, month, week, whenever you listen to this, and we'll see you soon. Take care and see you soon. Cheers.